You read the title of this video. No, it's not clickbait. It is 100% true. I relapsed 3 times in the past 24 hours. Now, I know the title is referring to NoFap, but honestly, man, if I'm being completely real with you guys, this video really isn't about NoFap. Okay, me relapsing, what I've realized, and it took me until the 3rd time relapsing to realize this, but me relapsing on NoFap was just a coping mechanism. Now, why this happened out of the blue? Personally, I think it's because I got rid of my other coping mechanism recently, which was dating apps. Okay, I was using dating apps as a coping mechanism, and prior to that, I was using spending money as my coping mechanism. Hence, me getting a BMW, a Gucci belt, some Balenciagas, jewelry, so on and so forth. Okay, what I've realized, man, is that I'm going through a lot more than I would like to admit. I've been facing some of the most challenging demons that I've ever encountered in my entire life in the year of 2022. And some of these demons I've talked about in other videos. You guys know the situation with the BMW, and that's a situation that unfortunately I will not be able to get out of. So we're just gonna have to kind of bite the bullet with that. But there's been other stuff that has really been weighing heavily on my mind, and I just want to unpack as much of that as I possibly can in this video right here. Now, like I said, man, I relapsed 3 times in the past 24 hours, and that is what it took for me to realize that I need to speak my truth, man. I need to speak my truth. I pride myself on my transparency, and while I would never turn this camera on and lie to you guys, I definitely haven't been 100% truthful in terms of being open and honest about my life. Recently, I've been doing a better job of that, but I have a long ways to go. Now, part of that is because, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, man, it's difficult for me to articulate the way that I feel. But the best way I could describe it right here, right now, is that I feel like I'm being pulled in so many different directions that I no longer know what I want out of life anymore. I don't know what Jordan Green wants. And that's a problem. When you no longer know what you want, what ends up happening is you look to other people. And when you look to other people, especially when you're in a position like me where you have a platform to see a lot of different opinions, you lose yourself even more. And so you look to other people even more. And it's just this really, really toxic cycle. And I need you guys to understand that I really make these videos for you guys. I make these videos for you guys, man. I did a stream approximately, today's Tuesday, like 2 or 3 days ago, where I invited some of you guys on stream. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to just create this network. I wanted to really bring that community to life. It's one thing to see you guys in the comment sections of my videos. It's another thing to actually sit there and interact with you guys and see you guys interact with each other. And I want to be able to do that. I want to continue doing that. That's what I love to do. And that right there kind of reignited my sense of purpose in terms of why I do YouTube. But at the same time, man, for as much as I do this for you guys, I do this for myself too. Because some of the things that you guys told me that day, I had a couple of people tell me that I'm their idol, or I'm one of their idols, or I've helped change their lives and things like that. I really needed to hear that stuff, man. You guys don't know, but I've really been struggling, and you guys saying stuff like that really has kept me going, believe it or not. Because for as confident as I am when I turn this camera on and when I start talking, for as confident as I am when I write my books and do these live coaching calls and whatnot, I really do struggle with insecurities, man. Even to this day, I'm not perfect. And what I've realized is that I think it's just a part of life, man. I think insecurities are just a part of life. And I think that that's okay so long that they don't enable bad habits, such as relapsing on NoFap. Now, like I said earlier, me relapsing 3 times in the past 24 hours, that was me coping. Okay, that is a coping mechanism. That is me being unwilling or unable to face my demons head on. And I guess a big part of that is me not knowing what those demons actually are. And hopefully by the end of this video, I'll figure out what some of those demons are. But if I didn't relapse on NoFap, it probably would have been my diet. Okay, when I was grocery shopping the other day, all of a sudden, the junk food, all of that stuff, the processed sugary foods, they started to seem much more appealing to me than usual. Usually, I wouldn't even look twice at them. I wouldn't even look once at them. But I almost filled my cart up with all junk food because I needed some type of coping mechanism. Or I guess I didn't need it, but I just felt like that was the only way I could really get around the things that I've been feeling lately, man. So I guess I should start off with the elephant in the room, my dating life. That's something that I've been struggling with for a while. And if I'm being completely 100% transparent with you guys, some of you guys asked me if I miss my ex, and you even tell me that I should have never let go of her. And if I'm being honest with you, I agree. In retrospect, man, I had a beautiful girl inside and out who appreciated me probably even more than I appreciated myself. And I broke up with her for pretty much no reason. I mean, I look back and I know why I broke up with her. And I do realize that the relationship was kind of on its last legs. If I didn't break up with her, she probably would have broken up with me anyways, because I just no longer had anything to give. But I still think about that, man. I still think about that. It haunts me, especially when I end up getting ghosted by 5 girls in a span of 48 hours. You start thinking about all of the times when that wasn't a concern, because that part of your life was already secure. You had that person who was there for you in your lowest times. And if I'm being honest, I miss that. I do miss that. But at the same time, to my point earlier, I know that even if I were to somehow, some way get with her right now, I don't really have anything to give her. I don't. Okay, and in that way, I don't really have anything to give to anyone else either. And that's why I got rid of the dating apps recently, is because I realized I'm in no position to be in a relationship because I have nothing to give. Okay, I'm struggling, man. I've been struggling these past few months, really the entirety of this year. 2022 has been probably the most challenging year of my entire life, believe it or not. I haven't really faced anything that I've never encountered before, but the things that I've faced have exceeded the magnitude of my previous life challenges. The dating problems have been exacerbated. They're just at a much, much bigger scale, a much grander scale. The YouTube problems with me needing to take breaks and things like that, me struggling to find my path with YouTube, I've experienced that to an extent that I've never experienced it in the past. And it's very, very scary, bro. It's very scary because for the past few years, I've pretty much predicated probably 80 to 90% of my self-identity on YouTube. And I didn't really realize it, but I feel like YouTube is just as important in my life as I am to my YouTube channel, because my brand and myself are one. As you guys can see with this video, man, I am speaking my truth, man. It doesn't get any more raw and authentic than this. And on one hand, I think that's a very good thing, because not only can I be myself and have that platform to really express myself, but I can help you guys do the same thing. I can help you guys feel less alone in some of the challenges that you're facing in your lives. But on the other hand, I feel like it's very hard to separate my identity and by extension, my self-worth from my YouTube channel. And the more successful I've gotten on YouTube, the harder it's been for me to separate my identity from my channel, from my brand. And like I said, it's just a dual-edged sword. It's something that I'm kind of coming to terms with. That's just what my life is right now. If you ask me if I would trade this in for a 9-to-5, a regular job where I would have weekends off and I could completely detach from my work, I wouldn't. I would not trade this in for a 9-to-5. Absolutely not. So that is one thing that I am absolutely certain about, is that YouTube will be a part of my future. YouTube will be a part of my foreseeable future, but also writing will be a part of my foreseeable future. And I do feel like that's part of the struggle that I've encountered this year. It's just me oscillating between being overly passionate about writing to the extent that I don't even want to do YouTube anymore, and being hyper focused and hyper obsessed with YouTube to the extent that I feel like writing is a hindrance to my YouTube journey. Because I do feel like when you focus all of your energy and attention on one thing, that thing will grow. It'll grow much faster than if you grow multiple things. But at the same time, writing and YouTube, they're two things that I love for two different reasons. But ultimately, the core reason is the same. It's that it gives me a platform to be myself and find myself. I'm finding myself through these videos, man. For as much as my channel is a self-improvement channel, my channel is really a self-discovery channel. Okay, you guys have seen all of the cycles. If you've been following my channel for the past few years, you would see that I've gone through various cycles of losing myself and finding myself, losing myself and finding myself. And while I do feel like that's normal, I feel like it's normal to lose yourself and find yourself, especially if you're an introspective person like me who likes to ask questions that don't even really have answers. I also feel like it can be detrimental to your mental, emotional, spiritual, and even financial well-being. Okay, and as I've tried to find myself through all of these different chapters of my life, I've found that I get caught with the residuals of the previous seasons of my life, and they hold me back from progressing in the current season of my life. For example, with the car. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into the car because I already talked about that, but that car is really preventing me from making some of the moves that I'd like to make. Okay, if I still had that other car, I could just sell everything and travel if I wanted to. But now I'm on a lease, so I can't do that without messing up my credit. And I don't want to do that. I just got my credit score to the highest that it's ever been, and I don't want to sabotage that. My apartment, okay, while I do feel like my apartment is one of the best investments I've ever made, my rent is about to increase. When I signed the lease, I think it was $11.82 for the base rent. Now they're talking about $14.50 a month. Okay, I can't really afford that at this point in time. Maybe in the next few months I will be able to, but another thing that I forgot to mention, man, I've had two of my monthly sponsors literally just pull the rug from under me. And I understand it's a business. It's a business, okay? When you feel like you have better opportunities, such as using YouTube ads as opposed to influencer marketing, I get that. If you feel like that will be the most profitable for you, then cool. But if I'm being honest, man, it kind of did rub me the wrong way because when you sign a contract, typically you expect that contract to be honored and fulfilled. But for me to be mid-contract with two companies and to suddenly lose about half of my income in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks, it's devastating. I mean, it's absolutely devastating. It's actually so bad that it's funny. I mean, it's almost comical because I'm at a point right now where I literally cannot do anything, bro. I don't know where to go from where I am right now. And like I said, I've turned to PMO, at least in the last 24 hours, and dating apps and whatnot for relief, for temporary relief from these grander issues. And it's time for me to stop running. But I don't even know what I'm running from at this point. And I guess that's why I need to stop running, is to really confront my issues, confront all of the adversity that I'm facing head on, because nobody's going to do it for me. If there's one thing that I've learned about being a man is that nobody's coming to save you. Now, with that being said, I do feel like I need to do a better job of asking for and receiving help. Okay, I noticed that I have this internal mechanism that all but prevents me from asking for or receiving help from other people, especially my parents. And I think a big part of that is because I have a deeply rooted victim complex that I've identified with for the vast majority of my life. And for me to receive help, that kind of circumvents or contradicts the victim complex with which I've identified for so long. And these are some of the conclusions that I've been coming to in these past few months, but it's one thing to come to the conclusion, it's another thing to actively apply it in your life such that you completely transform your way of living. And that's the process that I'm currently in. And while I do know where I'm going in a sense, I don't see anything. I feel like I know my destination, which is, I guess, freedom in all aspects, financial freedom, spiritual freedom, time freedom, so on and so forth, just as much freedom as possible. But I also feel like I can't see where I'm at. Imagine if you're driving to your destination, but you're driving through really heavy fog and you can't see shit. You know where you're going, but you can't see. And you start to ask yourself if you're lost. And you start to wonder if maybe you should stop the car and let the fog clear up. But at the same time, I feel like I can't afford to do that, literally and figuratively. Okay, I still have bills to pay. And in addition to that, I just feel like I'm not willing to let that time go anymore. Okay, I don't want to take a step back from YouTube, take a step back from writing or anything like that, because I feel like these are the only things that really keep me composed. These are the only things that hold me together, that enable me to hold myself together. I no longer do therapy. I got a lot out of therapy. I feel like I got the most out of therapy that I possibly could have, because at the end of the day, it's on me to actually apply the lessons that I've learned. But a part of the reason why I quit therapy is because it was no longer economical for me. I just couldn't afford it. And I do have I think, an influencer voucher. I don't know if that's still valid or not, but nevertheless, man, I've just been struggling. I've been struggling, and me relapsing 3 times in the past 24 hours on NoFap is pretty much the pinnacle of my recent struggles. Now, I know that in about a year or two, I'm going to look back on this video and I'm going to laugh. Okay, I'm going to laugh with relief because this will just be a part of my story. But man, when you're going through this shit in real time, it's scary. It's scary to not know how the next few months or even the next few weeks of your life are going to unfold. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't know what October or November looks like for me at this point. I'm living life one day at a time, man. Literally one day at a time. And it's scary. It's scary, but at the same time, I know that that's the only way that I can truly fulfill my potential is to live one day at a time, man. And honestly, I'm just rambling at this point. Basically, the reason why I'm making this video is not to talk about NoFap. Okay, I've made so many NoFap videos in the past. It's about self-forgiveness. Easier said than done, as I've learned in the past 24 hours, but that's besides the point, man. I want you guys to understand, I need you guys to understand, rather, that these coping mechanisms, instant gratification, they're not going to solve your problems. They're not going to solve your problems. I know the temptation becomes much, much stronger. The temptation becomes exponentially stronger when you're going through real, legitimate problems. But relapsing on NoFap, turning back to PMO, eating junk food, doing all of these things, hooking up, those things are not going to fix your problems. You are going to fix your problems.